I'm sure you can tell by the title that this video is going to be about my dermal piercing. I didn't ask for like questions specifically because I figured it's common knowledge. I'm just going to like go over the general information about it. So I didn't know much about dermals. I did my research on YouTube, obviously, what I could do, but I really didn't know that much about dermals compared to a surface piercing. First off, surface piercing is one where they would pinch my skin and put the needle all the way through, and then I'd have a bar in. A dermal just has the anchor that sits in my skin and just has the one gem on top. So I originally wanted a surface piercing when I knew nothing about either of them because I just liked how it looked better. And then I did more research and I kept flip-flopping back and forth whether I wanted a dermal or I wanted a surface piercing, because some people said like dermals are so much more painful or they're so much more difficult to take care of, blah blah blah. And then some people say surface piercings reject a lot faster and they're a lot harder to take care of. So I really didn't know. So I went to my piercer and I was originally going to get a surface piercing when I walked in. That was my goal. I was just going to get the surface piercing, take it how it comes, and just see what happens. Well, I guess Lid's joining us for the video now. So I'm just going to go over like the general information of the piercing and tell you what I learned. From my piercer at least. Okay, so usually dermals are done with a like circle punch, where it's like a circle, whatever gauge of piercing they have to do. I really still don't know how circle punches work because I didn't get a circle punch. But typically that's how they're done, and I've seen videos of it and it was absolutely terrifying. It looks very, very painful because they literally stick a circle blade into your skin and twist it and dig skin out. So they're taking skin out. That was terrifying to me. I didn't want to get a dermal pretty much specifically because of the circle punch. So when I went in and I was talking to the piercer and I was talking to the workers, I was like, what are the pros and cons for a dermal versus a surface piercing? And she's telling me a surface piercing, especially if it's on your face and you sleep on that side, it's going to reject a lot faster because you're constantly putting weight on the skin around it. She said a dermal lasts a lot longer, a dermal heals a lot better, and there's a lot less of a chance of rejection with a dermal. So basically every single thing she was telling me was just get a dermal. So I ended up saying, okay, fuck it, I'll get the dermal if that's what you recommend, if that's what you think it's gonna last. The other thing I was worried about, wow, that's pretty. The other thing I was worried about with dermals is when you get it taken out. Obviously a surface piercing, you can just pull it out like any piercing, but a dermal, you have to get removed. Unless it rejects, obviously, then it's gonna fall out. But you have to get it removed, and so I was like, what's the pain like for getting it removed? And she was like, honestly, it's about the same as getting it pierced. And I was like, okay. And I was like, what about the scarring afterwards? And the girl I was talking to was like, I had one. I took it out and no scar. And I was like, oh shit. Like, she had nothing there. You never would have known. So I was like, okay, so as long as I take care of it, I shouldn't have a scar. Oh, so God. I'm still very nervous. But I was like, okay, fuck it. We will get the dermal. I will get a dermal. So I go in with the piercer and she marks it and she put it, I think, up higher, like more towards my eye. And I was like, I want it directly on my cheekbone. So if you press, it's like the ball of my cheek. So it's directly over bone. But you gotta be careful, Goop. You're funny. So I was like, oh, I want it a little lower. I want it on my cheek. So she puts it on my cheek. She's like, hey, you ready? So I lay down. And she's just using a regular hollow needle, like a piercing needle. She pushes down and twists a little bit, and then pushes sideways and twists a little bit to make room for the jewelry. Don't kick it. So when she does that, I hardly felt a thing. I felt the initial poke of her putting the needle in my skin, but after that I couldn't feel anything. And so they squeeze your skin a lot to get it as much off the bone as possible so they have more room. So then she takes the jewelry, or she takes the needle out and grabs the jewelry, she's like, okay, now all I gotta do is put the jewelry in. And I was expecting this to be like a gross feeling of like feeling something digging around my skin. But even that, I didn't feel it. So that was really nice. And then after I got it done, she was like, okay, don't put makeup on it, wear a Band-Aid on it. Like going over all of the typical like healing things for it. And then she was like, oh, well, typically if you don't bleed when you get it pierced, you're gonna bruise. And if you do bleed, you probably won't bruise. I didn't bleed at all. So I had a black eye for like 3 days. 3 or 4 days, I think. It was all green and yellow right here, and then would get all purple in here. So that was pretty. Yeah. Pretty? She's drool on her fingers. So yeah, I had a black eye because of it. I've now had it for 4 months and I have hardly no issues with it. So even when you clean it, sometimes like the crusties will go underneath it and that feels really gross because then you can feel it. Almost done. Almost done. Almost done. Almost done. I got lipstick on your forehead.
What?
I got lipstick on your forehead. Look. I gave her a kiss. Now she has lipstick on her head. So really I don't have any cons. I do plan on getting dermals in a lot of other places now that I like the dermals over the surface piercings. But yeah, so I really don't have any cons with it, so I'm thinking I'm either going to get a second one next to this one or get one on the other side. But either way, I really like it. It's a lot of fun to have and it's really pretty, and I don't know, I think it just adds to my face. So I really don't have any cons about it, to be honest. So I will definitely be getting more. But because I was so confused going into it, I figured I'd make this just to maybe inform other people that are clueless like me. So that's about it. Thanks.